Hello and welcome to another episode of Panel on Panels, the podcast about all things comics and comics related. I'm your host, John Campbell. Next to me, Mike Ergoni.
Greetings, John.
And next to him, as always, Donovan Eilert.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
We left a little space there for them to respond.
Please don't talk over everybody. I mean,
Let
be
the
patient.
people talk.
Be patient.
The people are talking to us. Well, I don't like what they're saying.
No.
Whoa,
it's very
whoa. I'm hearing very lovely things.
We have very different voices in our head,
Yeah.
Donovan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so terrible.
Mine is deep and demonic, and sometimes it quacks.
Mine
Oh,
has,
I have that one too.
Mine has a lot of racial slurs.
But mine's
Mostly against the Dutch.
Oh, yeah.
that one.
Almost exclusively.
That one has a timeshare in my head. He travels. That's like a winter home.
So this week, because we're not that far away from the release of Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Not that far at all, John.
I'm
so
stoked.
close, I can almost taste it in my mouth.
I can taste it.
What does it taste like?
It's kind of like cherry pie. It's very American. I'm allergic to cherry pie, but I don't think that's a bad sign.
Just like you're allergic to the Avengers, though, so that adds up.
I wouldn't say I'm allergic unless you count hives. Breaking out in hives as an allergic reaction.
Yeah, to be fair, I was off base there. Hives don't count.
Yeah. It's a full-on body rash.
But no,
It's swelling or nothing.
so we thought we would talk a little bit about Earth's mightiest heroes here on the podcast to sort of get ourselves and you, the listeners, more excited, if that's possible.
Not possible.
Not possible. I think we're at peak excitement here.
I am all aboard the hype train, and it is cascading down the tracks towards some infinite point in the distance that I can't quite see, but is clearly labeled Infinity Wars.
I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleeping till May 1st.
It's true, yeah. No, but we are obviously if you can't tell, very excited. For this movie. It'd be really sad to listen to this if the movie's terrible and just be like, oh.
Is there even a possibility of that happening?
I feel like it can't be. I mean, that's really awful to say.
I enjoyed Thor 2.
Yeah, me too. But
I think Thor 2 is better than Thor 1.
Yeah, exactly.
So too,
but I thought, okay, they've done everything they can in a Thor movie. You know, he's in the Avengers. Let's go. And then Thor 2 came out, and I was
there
like,
was more.
Then there's a television show that's great.
Well, I think what I was saying. I think there's very little chance that it will be bad.
Everything Joss Whedon touches turns to magic.
I mean, I'm saying that I don't think it will be bad under any circumstances.
Will it be as good as the first one?
Well, now this is the question, because we're looking at a very different looking film.
Yes,
certainly. I mean, all the footage we've seen of it presents a much darker movie.
Well, you've got it. You got robots, John. Anything with robots is immediately going to be darker.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
yeah, sure, including the 20th Century Fox animated film Robots.
It's super dark.
So, Ewan McGregor, he was a lot of emotion in that part.
That was just like, I could really read the subtext. It was just like, what happened to all the humans? Well, they died, of course.
They died. They're not around anymore. We know why.
Because the robots killed them.
Here's the thing that, as I've been watching the trailers of Age of Ultron, hourly at this point.
Every hour on the hour.
If that movie was 5 hours long, which it could be because every scene in that feels like it's a completely different plot.
Right.
I would be okay with that. I would be okay with 5 hours of just that trailer, which I'm about to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean,
just on repeat.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, like, we obviously, us speaking, we're a little biased, perhaps.
No. No. Here's the thing is...
John, how much money did the first Avengers movie make?
Exactly.
Around $2 billion.
I don't think we're that
I know
biased.
people who are like, comic book, schmomic books.
No.
And then the Avengers came out and they're like, well, we have to maybe pay attention to this a little bit.
No. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, like, we're coming in not only with the love of the first movie, but the love of the characters from the comic. Like,
we're true believers.
We're going to give everything the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
From Marvel.
And eventually we will get burned.
Yeah, I don't see when that's going to be.
Yeah, no,
but,
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, I think
that was an indication of...
I walked away from at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy going, oh, Marvel, that was funny, but don't you fucking dare.
And I like referencing somebody that it's a pretty niche kind of comic to know Howard the Duck.
Right? and especially to know that it's a Marvel book. I mean, like,
yeah.
that character would
like how
somehow
many people
fit into that universe.
How many people walked away from that thinking, oh, that was funny, a talking duck. Ha ha. And all
I think you're right. I think a lot of people probably didn't even connect it with the Howard the Duck of the 80s.
I want to see the sales of Howard the Duck after that. Like people going home and Googling,
Well, he has a
end
book
credits.
now. They've started
There's
a
a
new
current Howard the Duck
yeah,
book? Oh, I didn't know
absolutely
this.
there is, yeah.
Who's writing it?
I don't know who's writing it.
Stan.
Because it's Howard.
Stan the man.
Stan the man's writing Howard the Duck.
Maybe.
I'll come back, but only to write Howard. That's it.
He had nothing to do with Howard the Duck's
Nope.
creation.
But I
have-
always wanted to be involved.
I have so much respect
It's
for
my
that guy.
one regret.
yeah.
Stan.
Yeah, he's good to do anything now.
Stan just pops in for a second
Yeah,
from time to time on our show. Yeah,
Mostly to say Excelsior.
he's always in the corner though. People
Oh,
should
yeah.
know that he's
Well,
always in the
I
corner
mean,
watching us record this.
He is the Watcher.
That's true. He is Uatu the Watcher. A character who frequently would you call him is he just a general Marvel Universe character? Is he specific to any title, do you think?
Well, I
Uatu
mean,
the Watcher?
he definitely. I want to say he originally appeared in some kind of Fantastic Four title.
I think a lot of the cosmic characters have. I mean,
At least originally, that's where they cropped
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Uatu, I would love to. This is clearly me not knowing Uatu canon enough.
Yeah.
What issue he initially showed up, because his whole thing has always been like showing up at the most important moments, and like you'll see him in the background during like all the big crossover events. I'm really hoping he gets into like some kind of fisticuffs like during the whole like Battle World thing that's coming up. I really want him to just like get into a fist fight with somebody.
Who would that be?
I think he died though.
Oh, did Uatu die?
I'm pretty sure. Now, I'm prepared for the litany of comments since I have not read the last Marvel crossover, Original Sin. I'm almost positive it starts with a dead Uatu.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure that's what kicks
Poor
that
Uatu.
storyline off.
There
I have
are
not-
other Watchers.
There are other Watchers.
We name drop Uatu, but
Well,
there
he's
are-
like he's your primary. He's your go-to Watcher.
well, he's our 616 Watcher.
Yes.
My go-to Watcher is from the Neil Gaiman Marvel. What is it? 1612.
Oh yeah.
That's the
1604, I think.
I don't remember, but the like weird.
We're probably both wrong. But,
yeah.
It's probably a multiple of 4.
yeah. It's definitely a multiple of 4.
But that Watcher who's watching over the weird Neil Gaiman Marvel universe is my go-to Watcher.
Well, a Watcher in a Neil Gaiman universe just makes sense. I feel like even though they're not said, they're in a lot of his books. Because that's the thing about the Watchers; they're just watching.
Yeah.
Except for Uatu, who's constantly getting involved in stuff.
He's like, I must never get involved.
And
But
then he does
watch
that-
out for that thing.
He does nothing but get involved. Because otherwise, why is he there?
He cares, John. He cares.
He cares too much. He's the Watcher
He's
who
a Watcher
cares.
with a heart.
Yeah.
And that's all we've seen Stan do in the movies. Right?
He cares so much.
Doesn't he deliver that line to Spider-Man in the first Tobey Maguire one about... No,
Oh, he
what-
doesn't have any lines in the first one.
Well, but he's one of the people who delivers like an inspiring speech to Spider-Man.
In the third one.
Is that the third one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the only good part of that movie.
Yeah.
Him and Sandman.
He has something. He has some monologue about like people need heroes, and then he finishes it by saying, "Enough said."
Enough said.
Yeah, I feel like he ends every conversation with that because it is. There's nothing more to be said.
That's true.
In conversations with Stanley.
Well, he has taken to calling himself our Generalissimo.
Oh, of course.
It's your Generalissimo here.
Yeah. No. Well, why wouldn't
He
you?
has a YouTube channel. You know that?
Oh yeah.
That's so awesome.
He's quite internet
He's
savvy.
94?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
He's 94, and if he shows up at a comic convention, it's the equivalent of the Beatles walking through.
Oh, I mean, yes.
And he frequently does that, doesn't he? From what I've heard.
He walked by me one time.
Whoa.
That's so
I know
amazing.
it was.
Did
Like,
you catch a whiff of his fragrance?
it was nice, and I love.
Did it smell like inspiration and money?
Oh yeah.
And rose water. A little bit of rose water.
Just a little bit, yeah. But yeah, what's great is he dresses exactly like my grandfather, and yet he's the coolest person in the world.
That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm. There is something pretty great about that. And Stan is responsible for what we're talking about today.
Yeah, we kind
presumably.
of got a little off topic here.
Oh, when do we not? At this point in the show's history, if you're like, "Hey, get back on topic," you have not been listening to the show. Stan, of course, is responsible for the Avengers.
Because
you could probably say that
There
about
came a
almost-
day, unlike any other, in which Earth Mightiest heroes had to band together to fight a threat that no single hero could.
Yep.
Sure.
And that still appears at the front of every Avengers comic, which is awesome because I love all those little things that are at the front of comics like that.
Especially Marvel ones.
Blinded as a boy by a radioactive isotope. Matt Murdock fights for justice. There's always that kind of stuff. I don't know why they're just like because maybe somebody hasn't read this.
Yeah.
And
In like issue 342.
And I like the idea
like-
that those 4 sentences are going to catch you up.
got it. And like that.
Wait, what's Stiltman? I'm confused again.
There are not nearly enough sentences to describe Stiltman.
Well, and it definitely was.
I'm pretty sure it's one sentence, John. It's a guy on stilts.
It's definitely left
Nope,
over.
doesn't even touch it.
From a
Doesn't even scratch the
pre-Wikipedia age of things,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
yeah.
because now it doesn't matter. You don't need that, but Marvel's still including that.
Well,
like
like
do they
that would
know that the
help
internet's
you.
going to crash?
I mean,
Is that what they're doing?
No,
yeah.
I believe we've said this on a previous episode that like the Marvel Wikipedia is just Stan Lee in a corner
It's
reciting
Stan-
these old tales.
it's Stan
That's
Lee's
so
brain
awesome.
hooked into a computer, if I'm not mistaken.
But no, and what's important about those little intros is, especially with the Avengers comics, is you have these disparate characters with every iteration of the Avengers. It can be some wildly different team.
But it's the thing that kind of unifies
Yes.
the title, if you will. That it's
They're not even necessarily avenging something, but
they're frequently not avenging things.
The first one, they're not. The first issue, they're not avenging anything.
well, I mean, Hulk getting controlled.
Yes, I suppose.
But it's
I do not think of them as a vengeance-based team, though.
See,
You know-
I that really is.
you know
what
what's
drives
funny?
me into every book is
No.
like, okay, what is the vengeance kick here?
you know what's silly is that silly. I don't know. Why I said that, but the first issue, somebody is out for vengeance, but it's not an Avenger. It's Loki.
Yeah.
Loki is the person who's seeking out, like, I want to get even with.
Yeah, I
Thor.
take it back. Stan Lee is responsible for the Avengers. Loki's responsible for the Avengers.
It's true.
Yeah.
And also I love the
Loki,
Marvel
the
Cinematic
actual
Universe.
Norse god Loki, working his will through Stan Lee, created the comic book. Avengers.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I meant
course.
by my last statement.
Yeah, who of course then included Loki, the character,
Well,
in the
he's
comics.
got a
so-
little bit of an ego.
Yeah,
Sure.
Just
yeah,
a
he's
little
gonna-
bit of an ego.
That's a little whisper. I get
The
that.
Norse god of mischief has a bit of an ego
Yeah,
problem.
well, you know.
Just a little bit. No, and then I love that the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well. It's Loki who brings them together.
Oh yeah,
Slightly different.
Oh, different
No
story, for sure.
railroad are destroyed.
No,
No,
but you know, Alien Army works just as well.
sure.
a little bit bigger scale.
Well, they went more
Stakes are higher.
more towards the Ultimates approach.
Yes, which I think we will get to at
Sure.
some point. The Ultimates, basically an Avengers.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are certainly an Avengers.
They just went about it not necessarily calling it Avengers because there was nothing necessarily to avenge.
That's it, exactly. That's what Mark Millar said. So the Avengers, something I want to talk about is they're kind of the nucleus of the Marvel Universe, are they not?
I think they've become that.
All roads sort of lead to the Avengers. Because, like we said, pretty much every character has been an Avenger at some point.
Well,
it
it's
seems like.
interesting. You've got kind of two nuclei, if you want to call it that, because I think we've said this before. There are kind of two sides of the Marvel Universe. You've got all of the mutant books and then everything else.
Yeah, I mean, you could even throw the cosmic stuff into its own thing as well, though.
Well, now, yeah,
There
but
are plenty of mutants in the Avengers too.
now,
for sure.
They came in decently early on.
sure. I mean, with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, they were there
sort of
pretty early
core,
on.
your core Avengers team.
They were eventually once the first one broke up.
Which didn't take long. Anybody reads
But I
the
mean,
original,
they've been in it long enough to be considered like classic Avengers
true.
characters.
Yeah.
Almost probably more Avengers characters than X-Men characters, really.
Oh yeah.
and I think it's
That's
safe
why
to say they're going to be in the new movie.
I mean, that's
They
why
are.
Marvel can use them like they are in the movie, is
Right.
because they are more Avengers characters.
But they
than
are still
mutants.
X-Men characters, so they can appear in
They're
X-Men
not
movies as well.
technically mutants in this version, though.
No, we don't know what they are.
Inhumans.
You think they're going to be Inhumans?
Based on what's happening in like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, I'm going to pretty firmly come down on Inhuman stuff.
Do you-
At least in some respect.
Do you think we're going to see pretty soon a little bending of the knee from Fox? Can we finally get Hugh Jackman punching Chris Evans?
I don't know about that, but I think the success and or failure of I love that it would be it's a success and a failure of Fantastic Four
We're going to see something, yeah.
could if that movie fails, we could see some like, well, maybe Marvel has some points about a few things, and
Also, how X-Men Apocalypse does.
I think there's no scenario that
Who's
that movie
directing
is.
that? Do we know?
Brian Singer's directing X-Men
The Apocalypse? Yeah, it's going to be great.
There's no scenario that movie's not a giant hit.
Sure. I just I get worried about that film just because the more and more casting news I hear about, it's just like, wow, there's a lot of characters in this movie. Are you sure about this, guys? Because the last time this happened,
I don't know. In Singer, I trust though.
Sure,
for sure.
yeah.
I mean, he that guy should just be the guy who's making X-Men movies. It
Yeah.
seems like to me. I mean, really, I don't want anybody else directing X-Men movies. It seems like, unless it's James Mangold and he's directing Wolverine movies, because he made a pretty sweet Wolverine movie.
he made
That was
the
amazing.
sweetest Wolverine
And
movie.
he's making a new one right now. So
Oh, boy.
that they're filming at the
Is
moment.
he really
Yeah, he's currently
in Japan or not in Japan?
I don't think they're shooting in Japan.
Okay, that's fine.
I
I
don't
got
know-
all my Japan.
We don't know
out
anything
now.
about the story, but yeah, it's Mangold directing Wolverine again. So
Sure.
Not Hugh Jackman. Not Hugh Jackman producing.
I think Hugh Jackman's
Is
producing.
he
I think he does.
producing?
I think he does produce those. Yeah,
Does he really?
I think he does.
Because he likes being Wolverine that much.
Yep, he really, really does.
Which I know this is going to be a bit blasphemous, but Wolverine has never been one of my who I go to as an Avenger in my head. Even though he's been
Blasphemy.
I know.
He's so on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. I don't.
'Cause
Why do you
he's-
think that
he's
is?
the big mutant crossover into the Avengers? I feel like for the longest time.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's at this point a certified Avenger.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, in Avengers versus X-Men, he took the side of the Avengers.
I see, I haven't read that crossover.
Because he
Yeah.
does what he wants. That's the thing. Is I feel
Well, because
like he's the wild
Scott
card.
Summers was out of control. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Sure. As
Like,
he
he
frequently
really had
is.
no. I mean, really, Avengers versus X-Men is sort of a misleading title to a certain extent because the X-Men are taken over by the Phoenix Force and turned evil. So it's pretty
Sure.
much it's Avengers versus a Phoenix Force.
Right. A force of Phoenix forces.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, yikes! It was crazy. It's a crazy comic for sure.
I'll need to read that because I've read tertiary stuff to it, like
Mm-hmm.
the Young Avengers stuff and the Avengers Academy,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. The Young Avengers didn't even have a crossover with it, but the Avengers Academy stuff did.
Yeah.
So I've read some tertiary, what had to do with what was going on then, but
Mm-hmm.
I've not actually read the event itself.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's.
I know,
pretty good.
basically
Sure.
yeah, and it ends with Xavier getting his head blown off.
Well, it doesn't end with that. That actually happens somewhere in the middle.
Oh, okay.
But explain this whole Wolverine not being an apt
Yeah,
enough
that's-
Avenger, because this is
I don't
Defend
know.
yourself, sir.
Yeah, I in most iterations of the Avengers that we've read in recent years, he has been a part of it somehow.
Yes.
But that's always felt like let's tack on Wolverine because he's so friggin' popular to me.
But Wolverine makes everything better.
he does.
Sure.
He's like Batman.
Maybe Marvel brainwashed me into thinking that, but I totally believe that.
You get Justice League without Batman, and it's like, well, okay, that was good, but where's Batman?
Oh, you think Wolverine is the Batman of the Avengers at this point?
In the sense that he's there.
If
and-
not him, who?
yeah.
Cap?
No,
Cap's not the Batman.
No.
Cap's the Superman.
The
Cap's
only
the
other
Superman?
Oh yeah.
The
yeah.
only other person I would put in the place of Batman and the Avengers, and this is going to sound weird, but would be Spider-Man.
we actually
the
talked
mor-
about
the
this
moral-
on an
the mo-
episode in the past. Yeah.
The moral code of Spider-Man specifically, the broodiness and I do my own thing of Wolverine. He's there for not his own benefit, but he can leave whenever he wants to. He can do whatever.
Wolverine definitely has the I'm here, but I'm also on my own, playing my own set of rules kind
Sure.
of thing that Batman has. I mean, even in
okay.
the X-Men, Wolverine kind of has that.
Cap and
position.
Superman are the same.
I feel
in
like
the
Hawkeye
Avengers.
kind of has a similar modus operandi.
Yeah, but I mean,
He's drinking the
it's
Kool-Aid
too-
a little
it's
bit
too
more.
easy.
Yeah.
It's too easy to make Hawkeye the Green Arrow, though. If
Well,
you're doing
fine.
one-to-one character,
Sure. I don't want this to break down into a Justice League versus Avengers discussion because that can go forever.
it won't. But I'm saying, they
We'll do that sometime. Don't worry. That'll be a podcast or a.
they'll fight. I mean, how is
Oh,
that
come
different
on,
than our
that'd be so
Marvel
much
versus
fun.
DC episode, though?
Sure.
Specifically, character blows.
Character to character.
Because I guess let's start out with who's the core of any given Avengers team.
Sure.
And I feel
mean,
like you got to start out with you have your trinities in both teams.
yes,
and that's
Cap,
Iron Man, Thor. Yeah,
Yes.
your Night Soldier God.
Yes. Captain America. I definitely want to talk about Captain America in the context of the Avengers. Leader, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. He's your field general.
undoubtedly.
Not
Yeah.
founder.
Not
He's
founder.
and he's not in the first.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's your field general. He's the guy, and you see this in the movie, which is fantastic because it's always in the. He's the one telling you got to go over there. You this, them. This is
He
our
sees
plan.
the big picture of what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Which is. I mean, that's the thing. He's
Even if Tony Stark thinks he sees the big picture.
right. Exactly. And no, he's the guy. People, you follow that guy into battle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm with Cap. That's why I'm all these crossover events. you joked once about where Hercules stands and where you stand. I'm in the camp of wherever Cap stands. That's where I stand because he's.
Hey, you know where Hercules generally stands?
With Cap.
With Cap.
Yeah, because he's not an idiot.
Kindred spirits.
Well,
two of them.
Hey, Hercules, the god of heroes. He is a firm supporter of Cap.
Yeah, for sure. But so you've got Cap as your leader. You've got Iron Man as kind of your brains, if you will.
Sure.
Thor's the muscle.
I would say Thor acts as two kind of things. He is definitely a heavy hitter. Because
Literally.
well, I mean, I think Stan Lee has said this is like he came up with the Hulk and was like, how do I top something as strong as the Hulk?
Right.
Well, I'll throw a god in there. So he started including Thor, and thus the escalation of superpowers began.
Yes.
But yeah, no, but Thor acts as both like a heavy hitter and also a connection to the mystical side of things.
For sure.
He has a definite connection to the magical crap that's in the Marvel universe.
No question about that, yeah. So, yeah, he's got that. Because, I mean, if you have the Hulk involved, the Hulk sort of becomes your muscle, obviously.
Oh, I mean, Hulk is all muscle all the time.
But this
Hulk
is
is strongest there is.
So, Hulk, though, as a member of the Avengers.
And see, that's an interesting Hulk, one of my favorite characters. I don't think I include him in my Avengers lineup.
He would not be in mine.
He doesn't make it into mine.
Almost without exception in the last, like, little while of the Avengers, Hulk hasn't been a part of it. When was the last time you remember Hulk actually, like, sitting, like, coming together with the Avengers, other than the occasional, like, team up with a planetary threat?
Yeah, he's in Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
The recent stuff that Kelly Sue DeConnick's been doing.
Straight up Hulk? Because, I mean, Red Hulk's been in there a little bit late as well.
Bruce Banner.
Okay.
Well, because especially with Wade doing Indestructible Hulk and bringing him into S.H.I.E.L.D., he's now available at the, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah,
I guess
with the Avengers.
I haven't read any, like, super recent Avengers, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read a ton of that. That's the only one I've been reading. And he's in that. So.
Okay.
Well, and something, this is more of a side note, but for our listeners, we've kind of constructed who we think the ideal Avengers for us are, knowing that there's a vast category of people.
We'll be going into that.
So we'll be listing those, but throughout you might hear us say on my list.
Well, I'm not even talking about my dream team yet, because my dream team is something really absurd.
Sure.
Would Hulk make your dream team? A little spoiler
no.
for us.
No.
So he doesn't make your ideal list, and he doesn't make your dream team list.
So I think what
I like Hulk by himself.
what we're discussing.
Hulk
right,
just wants to be left alone.
What we're
Hulk
discussing
alone.
right now is like the classic lineup.
Yeah.
What's sort of the
quintessential Avengers.
The quintessential Avengers. Before we get into like our crazy fanboy dream lists.
Do you mean the Quinjet essential
Yes,
Avengers?
that's
That was
exactly what I was
Bit of a
saying.
stretch, Donovan.
Oh, come on.
Mr. Fantastic, again, doesn't make my list.
No.
For a bit of a stretch.
Do any
No.
of the Fantastic Four?
You know what's interesting is
maybe the Thing. The Thing is
No.
like I feel like he teams up with the Avengers enough to where it's like
it's never clobbering time.
it can be clobbering time at times.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
You know, I have a friend who, for the Fantastic Four movie coming out, his one stipulation is that the Thing has a heavy brow. He wants the brow to be big and heavy. He thinks that's what's going to make or break them.
You don't want a soft face thing?
It won't make or break the
No,
movie,
no.
but I agree that she should.
You
Because I
have to
always
have
think of the when I I can't draw worth crap, but if I was to attempt to draw the Thing, that would be one of the things I would
it's
put
big.
on.
It's
He's got a cliff for a forehead.
Neanderthal.
Oh, yeah.
And also something with Fantastic Four to mention is that Stan Lee wrote Fantastic Four before he introduced the Avengers.
True.
They were kind of a precursor of like what would a team up
Absolutely
look like.
Absolutely.
Just something to keep in mind as we're
No,
going
for sure.
through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
And that was like really what rocketed him.
Fantastic Four really like set the tone for the Marvel universe in general. I mean, that was sort of the first book to be Marvel as we know it, and certainly the fact that it was a team as well. Okay, so getting back to like the quintessential Avengers list, we've got Cap, Iron Man, Thor for sure.
That's our like core of the
That
team.
I agree. I think that's the Trinity to end our
to use a
connections
DC connection,
But
yeah.
that I think that makes sense though. Those are the three who are going to be around.
Sure. I think next you got to go with some of the original founders, and that's Hank Pym's Ant-Man and Wasp.
You know what my issue with Hank Pym is?
What?
He has had so many different names. He's been
But here's my
I can't keep a name.
But here's the thing: is like I say Ant-Man. I'm not necessarily talking about Hank Pym because my personal Ant-Man is Scott Lang.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
And
I think
I feel
all
like
of us share a
he's
love
on
of
our
Scott Lang.
quintessential list, not necessarily Hank Pym. Hank Pym is definitely important. I mean, he was a founder. But I feel like...
I mean,
he in the original comic was like, hey, we all worked well together. That was cool.
The Avengers as a whole, like a quintessential Avengers, needs an Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's true. I don't think they need...
No, I'm with Grigoni on this.
Why do they need an Ant-Man? They're like, that space is too small. That's like the
Why
only...
did you draw that out?
Because...
dead on Iron Man impression.
Yeah, that's like the only thing that will stump Tony Stark.
No, but here's the thing.
Come on.
I feel like Tony Stark is a wild ideas guy. Hank Pym, or whoever the Ant-Man is at the time, is the realist scientist. He's the one who's tinkering with what's actually there, not necessarily like...
He's the implementer where Stark's the idea man.
Right.
It's true, yeah.
I don't...
Scott Lang, not necessarily as much.
No.
But Scott Lang also brought like a serious heart to the Avengers team.
Oh, yeah.
Like with the whole Cassie Lang thing and like everything to do with his daughter.
He's a very endearing character.
He really is from the get-go. Hank Pym is never... The only time I've really liked him is kind of in the Ultimates.
Also, I really
You like
the idea...
wife-beating Hank Pym?
Well, okay, I like the purpose.
I like him as a spousal abuser.
Yeah, exactly. No, I like the idea of him trying to bring these things together, taking it too far, trying to get redemption through that. That's what I mean. I don't actually... I'm not like, I'm on that guy's side.
She had it coming.
She spoke up. Come on. He had no options. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like...
Dare say she was asking for it?
I did not say those words. I didn't say those words.
Well, then it's fine. Everything's fine.
Exactly. I danced around that. Nobody knew what I was actually
saying. As long as you don't put those words together in that order, there's
John,
no
I'm appalled.
problem.
I'm appalled
no
at you,
problem.
Mr. Campbell.
A Paul Rudd?
I'm appalled.
I was just going to say.
Really, my Quinjet was a stretch and a Paul Rudd at that comment?
No, equally terrible. But I was going to say, we were saying what an endearing character Scott Lang is. They did cast maybe the most endearing actor to play him.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm
a man
stoked.
who has limitless charm. Like, so definitely, yeah. I know. I'm with you on an. You're not. You're saying no. What about Wasp
Wait, you mean
as a quintessential X-Men?
Avenger.
you mean him as
Avenger,
as Wasp?
X-Men.
No. Just like as a character
Because
that should
he's
exist
been
on the Avengers.
because he's been Wasp. He's been Goliath. He's been Ant-Man. He's
remember-
been Giant Man. He's
When
been
was
Yellow
he,
Jacket.
When was he Wasp?
He was Wasp just after she died in Secret Avengers.
Yep.
Secret
And he's
Invasion.
like, I'll take her name. I'll take anybody's name who wants to give it to me.
Yes,
I'll
Hank,
just take
Hank
any
Pym
name.
has had a strange career full of different identity changes.
That's why Hank Pym's not necessarily my Ant-Man.
No, Scott Lang's a far more consistent Ant-Man.
I'm just saying, I don't get what that's
So
all
he did
about.
die and come back, but beyond that, who hasn't though?
Yeah.
All right, I
So,
think,
but do you, in your quintessential Avengers team, you don't have an Ant-Man?
No, I have...
no, not in your
No,
dream.
not your
Avenger.
dream team. But do you like if you in your like what you every time you think Avengers?
When I'm putting the portrait of the Avengers together
Right.
in my head,
No.
which I'm doing all the time.
what about a Wasp?
No.
No.
I don't
See,
need
I
I don't need
I
him.
don't know how I feel about a Wasp. Like I like Janet Van Dyne as a character.
I do kind of feel like they go
'Cause-
hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like if I can't, I mean,
I've
we
seen
said,
certain
once again,
interpretations of her that I really, really like, and certain interpretations of her that are just like, take it or leave it.
in this portrait analogy, I can't picture Ant-Man without the Wasp.
Well,
like
it's-
the little Wasp, like next.
But here's the interesting thing: I can picture the Avengers with Wasp without Ant-Man. Because you look at the Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon, there's a large stretch in there where Hank Pym's all like, "Meh, my science."
exactly what he sounds like.
That's always what he sounds
But-
like.
My one question about that show: the choice of the voice.
Janet has was always like, "It's awesome being a superhero. This is amazing and fun.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to do this?"
Yeah.
And that's what I've always liked about that character.
No, Janet's great for sure.
I just feel like, especially with the two of them, it's like, hey, I can turn into bugs, so can she? Can we be together and be in the team? Like, that's also what it feels like.
Hang on. Based on these, do you hate them? I don't
hate them. I just don't need them.
It's very disparaging.
I don't. They feel like, okay. You know what they feel like to me?
What?
They feel like they're supposed to be comic relief in the sense of like,
I don't know about that.
like this is a goofy superpower that comes in handy basically not ever.
Oh, I don't
And
know
then
about
The
that.
Wasp can fly into people's heads and zap their brains.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
great. Thor can zap people with lightning.
Hang on. I love that you're just like, yeah, whatever. That's not that. who
Compared
would
to the
ever
rest of
need
the
that?
Avengers, that's like nothing.
That's pretty awesome because you can do it to the Hulk.
They've taken down the
They've taken down the Hulk that way.
I remember them doing that, and it was handy once.
Like
Or
I
like
remember.
flying inside of Ultron and taking him apart from the inside.
It's like I remember, and I was not impressed.
I'm just saying there are other ways to do that. They were like, oh, we have somebody who can get small, so let's use them to finish this. But it's not like that was the only solution.
Sure, but it's a viable one.
There were 100 other ways to
I'm
take
just
down
saying
the
We
Hulk.
could have also nuked him.
Yeah.
If I'm reading an
Does that
Avengers
work,
comic,
Occasionally.
Depends on who's writing it.
Yeah.
and how angry he is. If I'm reading an Avengers
He's
comic,
not surviving a nuke angry.
yeah, exactly.
Hulk is always surviving a nuke angry.
So am I.
Well, then he can always survive a nuke.
Yes.
There you go.
But here's the thing: is if I'm reading an Avengers comic and Ant-Man and or Wasp do not show up, I'm fine.
No, well, I mean, I don't think that's the purpose of the list we're putting together. I don't think I'm ever reading an Avengers comic going like, where's such and such?
I mean, if somebody's like, who's who were the original Avengers? First, I have to say is technically, which is what I have to say. But then if I'm like, okay, kind of throughout time, the consistent ones.
You know, like I've said that phrase, like, well, technically, so many times. You know what I always associate with that phrase?
What?
It's the light in someone's eyes immediately dying of interest, just gone.
because whatever short answer they were looking for, they know they're in for like at least 10 minutes of
Right.
something now.
But if you give me anything
I was just
shorter,
hoping for
they're
one
missing
How
name.
many
out.
times I've seen the light on someone's eyes just go, oh, and now I'm immediately not paying attention to what he's saying because it's going to go on for 10 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the uh-oh face
Yeah.
is a good one. Yeah.
That's really.
I've said too much.
But so I mean, if I'm going to be like technically Ant-Man is there,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and then he turns instantly into Giant Man, and then back into Ant-Man. In case you're wondering, but
Yes,
he's
let's take him
also-
off the team because he can't keep an identity.
here it's a big problem I have.
All right.
If Gorgoni can be afraid of Jeff Loeb just because
I'm not
he
afraid. I'm
diswrote-
disgruntled.
yeah, that's right. With his Hulk run, I can say that changing a name that much is ridiculous.
I agree.
Who are people going to root for? They're like,
we are
Ant-Man. Oh, no, he's the Wasp
I
right
believe
now.
we've made this point. We are talking about the mantle of Ant-Man.
The legacy.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't need it. Now, Scott Lang does make my dream list because I like the person of Scott Lang, but the Ant-Man persona itself doesn't matter
Okay.
All right.
to me. I understand.
See
that
how
I'm
you're
gonna-
talking after the movie. That's all I'm
All
saying.
right. Let's move past.
During the Ant-Man movie?
Yeah.
He's not going to, but we're talking about the Avengers.
Sure.
I said I like Scott Lang. I'm going to love that movie.
We've moved. Let's move past.
Okay.
I can't,
This.
John. You done got me riled up.
All right. Other quintessential X-Men. Or God, X-Men. Avengers. Why do I think X-Men? Whatever.
I don't think this is the podcast to say whatever on. We just went on a wild tangent about Ant-Man.
Other quintessential Avengers. Black Widow.
See, I think Black
a
Widow's
recent-
an interesting one. I feel like that's more of a recent, solid addition.
She's awesome.
That doesn't. But I don't think that discounts a
Sure, like the image. But here's the thing: like we're talking about the quintessential. Like
Yeah.
when you conjure the image of the Avengers in your head, what do you got? And I think, especially in the
let's
wide social.
Let's just toss Hawkeye into this conversation as well.
Oh, sure. I think Hawkeye makes my quintessential in my head before Black Widow does.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that's mostly because of the basically the second iteration of the Avengers was Cap, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and that is an image that's firmly planted in my
Yeah,
head.
we'll get to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch next, but let's talk a little bit about Black Widow because I mean I don't like once again I think
thanks to the movie we associate her with the Avengers more closely, especially now.
I mean I think the movie's done a lot for that.
And I definitely associate her with the Avengers because Bendis's run on, I believe it was Mighty Avengers, she was one of the picks on that, and I love that lineup. Ares is such a weird choice, and I love it. But I don't know, she doesn't instantly come to mind when
But
I think
Hawkeye
of it.
would.
But Hawkeye does, yeah, and so do Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver for that matter.
Yes, I was going to get to them because I think they are firmly in there for me.
Donovan, do you have an opinion on Scarlet Witch? We didn't get that.
Scarlet Witch.
or Black Widow.
Black Widow kept coming to my mind.
Color. Noun.
I got you.
Sure. Black Widow kept coming to my mind when I was making these lists just because she's different. And that was the thing, is I felt like,
Well, I like the presence of Black Widow and Hawkeye because they're people.
but I like the presence of Hawkeye more
As
than I like.
opposed to
Well, they don't. I mean,
They have a
beyond
particular
like
set of
fighting
skills.
Yeah, they have
And then-
skills.
yeah, exactly.
They don't have
Superpowers.
powers or a suit in the case of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
'Cause I guess Tony Stark's just a dude.
I don't think
Depends on who's ready.
Black
That's
Widow.
gonna be. By the way, that's gonna be my Iron Man miniseries. Iron Man, just a dude.
just a dude. I feel like
It's
Black
like him going
Widow
to parties and stuff.
isn't
He doesn't
super.
even put the armor on.
Again, not somebody that I'm gonna miss if she's not there. She's cool. She's interesting.
What about Hawkeye?
Hawkeye only recently made my list, and only recently I mean because of Matt Fraction made my list. No, seriously. I mean, even in the Avengers movie, like he plays a great part, especially through like getting mind melded with Loki and awesome. That's so cool, and like what a great idea is like take an Avenger before they're the Avengers and like pit them against each other. Awesome. And
When I think you see, based on the damage he does to the Avengers in that movie, what skills he possesses, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
and
I really want to see him in just full team up mode, like throughout all the Age of Ultron.
he's going to. You know,
that's what
they're
it
going
looks
to
like we're
hit
getting.
on like.
And he's got that sweet coat.
He hasn't.
That's such a sweet coat.
is so awesome.
He hasn't been in any movie since then, right?
No.
Which means I bet there's gonna be a lengthy bit about him
I did
coming to
wonder where he
terms
was
with.
in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that was the big one. Was just like, what was he up to when S.H.I.E.L.D. fell?
Yeah. And I think we will, and I'm really excited to see the answer to that.
We're gonna get a lot of Hawkeye, I think, with this movie, and I'm excited.
It seems
for
like that. He's all over the promos and stuff.
And I think it's an easy sell for Marvel.
Again, one of the many movies this movie could be is just like it could also be heavily into Hawkeye, or probably heavily into Hulk, or heavily into Cap.
10
From what
10 hours long.
From what I
Yeah.
gather, it is heavily into Black Widow, and that makes sense because of Whedon.
Sure,
And
yeah.
Whedon was super into her in the last movie.
Oh, and I think Scarlet Witch is going to play a big part in it too.
I think Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch both. I mean,
But I think Scarlet Witch
actually
more so.
Don't know how big of a role. Like they're gonna be important because spoiler alert, they're gonna team up with Ultron.
sure.
We've seen that from some of the
In the
trailers.
trailers, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they say it.
they
I'm with you. I'm just saying. I don't
show
think
it.
they.
I mean, we saw Quicksilver punch Cap in the face, so
yeah, but
and we see like Ultron monologuing to them, not like them captured,
Right.
But just like, here's what we're gonna do.
everyone needs to die.
they could be double agents.
And for at
Both-
some
both
point,
of
they
those
both
were-
went,
Those were both dead on Spader impressions. There's a real voice like this.
yeah,
I'm going for more of an Ultron impression rather than a Spader impression.
But Spader and Ultron are gonna be synonymous now.
Yeah, I don't know if Spader's voice is necessarily the Ultron voice I hear in my head.
I want to
but-
see Ultron on the
Oh,
blacklist.
We'll have to discuss.
Is that right? You just get
Special guest star Ultron.
no, like one episode instead of Spader, you just get Ultron,
Ultron.
and then back to Spader, and people are like, "Well, it makes sense."
We'll when we review Age of Ultron, we will discuss Spader's voice.
We'll discuss Blacklist extensively.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Okay,
I
let's
love
do
the
it.
Blacklist. Legitimately, that's.
But yeah,
so-
Scarlet Witch, I think we're going to get a lot
Scarlet
of her in Age of Ultron,
I'm stoked.
but I don't know if she necessarily makes the quintessential Avengers list for me.
But Quicksilver does.
Wait. I thought you said
Or not. I mean Black Widow again,
Black Widow,
like color
Yeah,
noun.
okay. All right.
I get them.
'Cause I do want to.
Crimson Dynamo, Black Widow, Scarlet Witch.
We are tossing women from this team very quickly. It seems like.
No,
to me.
No. We haven't actually gotten to Scarlet Witch. Gorgoni just said the name like 6 times.
That's right. That's
but
right.
Black Widow, yeah. Again, I don't think she makes quintessential.
And again, I felt like Wasp is quintessential to me.
Me too.
yeah.
That's right. Donovan's the sexist.
You should take a look at my list, my dream list.
We will get to that. Yeah. So Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Oh yeah,
I think we're all in agreement on their importance to the team and their quintessential nature.
Yep. Quicksilver doesn't make my dream list, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but
like they're
they're-
such fascinating characters, and just like their father is one of the greatest supervillains of all time.
absolutely,
and
yeah.
And their relationship to
They got cool
each other
powers
is
as well.
really
I
interesting.
mean,
their relationship to each other and to Cap.
So,
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
think their relationship with Cap is one of the most fascinating things. Is like Cap came to them and was just like, we need you to redeem like your name, like who you are as a like represented to the world,
Well, and some of the-
mutants in general.
Some of the great stuff, like you get into like the House of M stuff.
Oh, I love House of M.
Avengers
Me
Disassemble,
too.
like that stuff. Particularly Scarlet Witch. My God, I mean that storyline is
So
Well, and
impactful.
talk about a
Yeah.
set of skills. She doesn't get small, but she can bend reality and make
Yeah.
things anything she wants.
I will say this about
End of
Scarlet Witch:
story.
her powers are very vaguely defined, but that
Oh, yeah.
but it works because they can be
and
anything.
it makes her one of the ultimate depends on who's writing it.
What
characters.
I feel like is they haven't defined it because there hasn't been a limit reached yet. Like the things that she can
She got
do-
rid of all the mutants. Well, most of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is it's like kind of like Jean Grey where it's like we can't really define the complete level of her power because it's still going.
We don't know where the
Right.
top is.
We'll tell
yeah.
you when it stops, but until then, you just buckle in.
Well, if you can bend reality, that's pretty powerful.
And like Emma Frost, is like, oh, you're not where you think you are. But the way that Scarlet Witch does it
She
is
can
such
literally create an alternate reality,
the
and everyone is
magnitude
over
of
in that
what she
alternate
does
reality.
is
Yeah.
so great. Is
Oh, yeah.
amazing. And her relationship with Vision is always an interesting thing.
absolutely.
Well, what I love about some of the Young Avengers stuff is exploring like what happened to the whole like her kids during Avengers Disassembled is explored very thoroughly in the Young Avengers run.
I've not read that.
Oh, it's good.
oh, so good.
I'm sure I will.
Have you
love it.
read Avengers Disassembled?
I have not
Oh,
read Avengers Disassembled.
That was kind of when Bendis
That's when he took over.
yeah, that's when he took over Marvel basically.
I read some of his all new. No, not
New
all
Avengers?
The new Avengers.
There's New
sorry.
Avengers, Mighty
That's-
Avengers, and those happened in
New
the wake.
New Avengers comes out of Avengers Disassembled.
Yeah,
Oh well, I have to read that then. I
because
guess.
that's why we need a New Avengers.
because
I
they
mean,
disassembled.
that does make a little bit of sense now.
And Scarlet Witch is central to that disassembling, almost physically.
I feel like that's the
disassembling
thing.
people.
I feel like that's the thing is she will get you out of any bind, but also put on a big hurt.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
she's such a like stalwart in the Avengers, but also
Hashtag stalwart.
she is such a free radical there too. Though she's like,
Because she's been.
It's in that Jean Grey place where it's like, my
like-
God, the power on your side, but she's so unpredictable that she could start killing Avengers and has.
and
Or
you-
Hawkeye.
You couldn't do anything.
He came back. He got better.
He got better. I got better.
But then he, unfortunately, Donovan did change his name and was
Here's
Ronin.
the thing: is a name change or two is fine over a period
And a
of
costume
time.
change.
He was a
Hank
ninja for a
Pym
little while. It's
is
not a big deal.
Ant-Man for like an issue and a half, maybe.
And then he's Giant Man.
And then he's Giant Man. And also, I would like to point
I
out
shouldn't
that
have opened that up again. That was my fault.
You, John, I told you. Done made me angry. But
I thought he'd done riled you.
he's done both now. He did both.
I forgot one of his sore subjects is Ant-Man. I
Well,
should have known from just minutes ago.
is there a difference between an ant and a giant? Just tell me.
His powers were different.
Yes, that's right. He just
Okay, do we have any other
Oh my
like
God.
quintessential Avengers
Okay.
characters?
Vision.
Vision goes to your quintessential list.
Only if Scarlet Witch is there does he make that. No, I'm not joking. I think without the relationship, he's not my favorite character. I think with it's
I think he's also a fascinating character. I don't know if he necessarily makes my quintessential like in my head Avengers. I love Vision. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
and like
yeah.
I've seen him done in a bunch of books in a really interesting way, and the whole like him being a creation of Ultron thing, designed
Yep,
to kill
yep.
the Avengers, is always like really interesting to me. And transhumanism in me, I love the idea of like, okay, at what point is he a real person? It's the whole Pinocchio scenario as well.
Definitely.
So I love the Vision, but I don't know if he's necessarily the picture in my head.
Yeah, and this opens it up to some questionable things, and I want to get your guys' opinion on these, which are like, like Hawkeye, Black Widow. There's kind of their own things, but like Shield members, Nick Fury. Is Nick Fury an Avenger?
Hell no.
no,
Okay,
no.
Maria Hill. I mean, these are the
No.
Phil
I think
Coulson.
technically,
I think Coulson's an honorary Avenger.
I think the show specifically stated
Yes.
this.
I think technically they're
Hey,
all.
Coulson's in the comics now.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's why I mentioned it. But I'm just trying to name Shield people
Because then we get
who
into
can be trusted.
because we can get into like the every single whatever
But I'm saying like
book has the Avengers name on it. There's Secret Avengers.
But you
and
know what's
Uncanny
so-
Avengers.
yeah. But I'm saying like Nick Fury, maybe he's not an Avenger, but he's somehow in that portrait to me of like there is a
But here's the question: is why isn't he? If people like Black Widow and Hawkeye are, they're
Yeah.
normal people with
That's-
really good ability.
to be. I mean,
But
what's
we
the
all said no.
What's the Shield Avenger relationship here?
Well, the reason I say no to Nick Fury specifically is because he's such a manipulator. He's not in it for the team. If he's supporting them at any given moment, it's because they need to serve his purposes.
Which is the world's purposes, kind of.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
He's there for the greater good, sure, but it's the greater good at the extent of everybody and anybody.
Think he's got like Uatu whispering in his ear, like mega scale
No.
interference. He's like, I didn't interfere. But
what happened is like he's got an Odin complex, and Odin in the traditional senses, he gave up his eye so that he could have wisdom beyond all wisdom.
does he have ravens? I missed that part.
His ravens are an international spy organization.
Oh, that makes many spies have many eyes.
Think about that logo.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that a raven?
I don't know if it's a raven. It's a
I
bird.
always thought it was
Could be.
I always thought it was an eagle. I feel like an eagle makes more
and
sense than a
instead
raven.
of the
You know, I don't-
six-legged goats or the six-legged
I don't
reindeer
actually.
Slipner, he has a helicarrier.
Yep.
It's the
That
parallels between Nick Fury and Odin are just stacking up.
Yeah. And then a character who certainly pals around with the Avengers, not an Avenger, not arguing he is, however, always present, Jarvis.
Jarvis,
He's their butler.
He's
I know he's
around.
Tony
He
Stark.
is
I know he's
certainly
Tony
around.
I know
So
he's Tony
is-
Stark's butler, but he is the Avengers butler.
Oh no, I mean
He's
pretty
the-
thoroughly when
he's
he gets,
the one taking that portrait.
Yeah.
like
Is
or making it.
Alfred-
He's the one taking the picture. No,
Yeah.
Is
sure.
Alfred part of the Bat family?
Yes.
But he's not.
I think Alfred way more than Jarvis. Jarvis
Yes.
is always kind of around, and he's hanging out at the Avengers mansion.
People draw lines between those two, or like there's some kind of connection. But no, Alfred is far more important than
I
Jarvis.
feel like, yeah.
Do you think it's?
'Cause
But do you think that Jarvis?
Alfred
is,
is way more of a
confidant?
confidant. I don't think Jarvis is.
Jarvis brings the Avengers tea.
Jarvis is a confidant to Tony Stark. I feel like.
At times.
Not nearly as much as like a Pepper Potts.
No.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Like
Pepper.
Jarvis is sometimes a plot device at best, and like there are books that explore his character a bit
And
more.
he's good for some comic relief. He
Sure.
can come in with some wacky reactions.
But I feel like he's way less of a impactful character than your Alfred.
So you say Alfred is Bat family, Jarvis is not an Avenger.
That's right. But I'm just saying,
But
it's
they
interesting
wouldn't
for a character
have tea without him.
who is so like
In both cases.
Is it's
Yes.
interesting with Jarvis for a character who is so close with the Avengers to not be one. He's the only like that kind of thing where it's just like
And maybe we just
He
haven't
works for them.
been given an opportunity. Like, I want to see the guy who's writing like the whole Avenger story from like a Jarvis point of view. Like, I think that could be interesting.
there you go. There's your miniseries you can do.
No, we know what my miniseries is, and that's the mutants with really lame superpowers.
And mine is a just a day-to-day life of Tony Stark. So
I was
It's morning bowel movement, how he gets.
well, I don't know about
breakfast,
that. I don't know about that, but
Him going to parties.
yeah, he goes to a charity event.
Having to do a crap load of paperwork.
this
I
might be,
understand. There's just 4 pages of him flirting with this girl at a party.
might be upsetting to you guys, but
Called
I was
just a dude. What'd you
I was
expect?
discussing the lame mutant powers with somebody
Yeah.
who more or less legitimized throwing cats through panes of glass.
What?
Any type of cat through any pane of glass.
Yes. So
But only with the relative strength of a human.
Right,
He's
sure.
not superhuman. He can't throw at a great distance.
But we
No.
didn't qualify superheroes, we qualified mutants.
Right.
Yes, we did.
Which means you could throw a cat into a museum at night and set off the alarm multiple times. So that they're like, oh, there's nothing here, let's turn off the alarm.
But
And
how
then-
did all these cats get in?
Well, here's the thing. is
We didn't say they were useless. Did we say they were? Did we ever describe
They're
them
like
as useless?
they're super specific and not necessarily helpful.
Because they're going to have to be useless if we're actually telling a story.
Right.
They're going to have to be useful.
Well,
See, and that's the thing is he can now
Well,
think
they have
about
to do
like
something with them.
Think about and obviously this
no, they
Don't shake
don't,
your head
John.
at me. It's a story. Something has to happen.
this is a pun
I know-
that is
in my head,
intended
I
and
know-
not intended.
Okay,
but
what's your-
but think about somebody who is a cat burglar who could somehow get a cat. What is a jewelry case?
wait a minute.
Is
That's- hang
glass.
on. That's that character's mutant name.
Is cat
the
burglar?
cat burglar. Think about it.
Cat burglar.
Oh, the police are coming into my apartment. I stole all these jewels. Stuff it inside a cat. Throw it through a window.
Stuff it inside of
Well, here, hey.
Oh no!
Because we did talk about that anything attached to the cat doesn't go through the window.
Right.
But we never said anything inside of the cat, which I have to believe would go through the window.
In a
Whoa.
horrifying twist, no, it doesn't.
Oh, that would be horrible. Well, that would not end well for that cat.
Whoa.
No.
Wow.
I'm just.
I don't think this conversation needs to go on any longer.
I'm just saying that he is not a hero.
No, we never said he was.
So I'm just saying that there is more to maybe legitimizing this character than we first led on.
This particular...
He's now an X-Men villain.
Sure.
And that time I meant
No, he's
X-Men.
not even a villain. He's just out for himself. I mean, what's he gonna do? Like, because Wolverine shows up and that cat is no more. Well, actually, I think Wolverine would befriend that cat.
Yeah.
Feels like he would take care of a cat. I don't know.
Oh, boy. So something I did want to touch on, which you mentioned a little bit, which is the myriad of offshoots.
Oh, there's so many Avengers titles.
Avengers. Mm-hmm. You've got...
We have to have one on the West Coast.
There's Avengers
we
West
have to have
Coast.
one on the Great Lakes.
Oh, I love the Great Lakes Avengers. Big Bertha, Squirrel Girl.
There you go.
Invincible Man.
No,
it's Mr. Immortal, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's Secret Avengers.
We don't know about those.
Let's see, what are there? There's Secret Avengers,
Uncanny Avengers,
New
Avengers, Mighty Avengers, Young Avengers,
Dark
Avengers.
Dark Avengers, Ultimate Avengers.
Were they ever called Ultimate?
There
Yes,
are
they were.
Ultimate
Yes,
Avengers
yes,
and
they were.
Ultimates are two separate things.
Yes, because of there was that Millar crossover thing where they fought each other.
We have Alpha Flight, which is the Canadian
then there
Avengers.
are things like Alpha Flight and
the Winter Guard.
The Winter Guard.
And I'm pretty sure there's a British equivalent as well.
Yes. What are they called?
I don't know. I know they have a Captain Britain, but I don't think they have
This
I'm
could be
fairly
wrong.
certain-
Are they called the Invaders?
I thought that was a Captain America like World War II era thing.
Oh yeah, that was like an allied superhero.
So I don't have this a confirmed fact, but in my brain, when they released the Avengers in Canada, it's actually called Alpha Flight, and they've changed everything that could be construed as the Avengers, and so they have a really great Joss Whedon directed Alpha Flight movie. Just like in Russia, they've got a Winter Guard movie.
Oh man,
Wouldn't that be amazing to find out?
I do kind of want to see an Alpha Flight movie just so we get Sasquatch on screen.
Wouldn't that be great?
I don't
and you
know
find
if
out that
that's
it was
worth
like a
2 hours of Alpha
a
Flight.
Canadian-made movie of Alpha Flight.
Paid for by the Canadian government, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the only way I could see it working out. I don't know how that would work out for anybody, but that would be how it would
I
work.
just like the idea that people are like, oh, yeah, do you see Robert Downey Jr. in that Alpha Flight movie? And it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it was called Alpha Flight up here, eh?
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, there's this.
So many Avengers titles.
There are a ton of other kinds of Avengers.
Dark Avengers?
Yeah.
Is it Dark Avengers? Do we
Yeah.
say
Young
that?
Avengers, Avengers Academy. I mean, that's you've got the next generation of Avengers with that kind of stuff. So
That animated movie, Next Avengers.
that's fair.
I haven't seen it.
It's
I won't now.
It's
That's fine.
is exactly right.
It's watchable.
Yeah, it's not bad by any means, but it's
It's bad by some means, John.
I guess, but I would not call it bad. I would not call it bad. But yeah, I mean, we are talking about the Avengers proper,
Yes.
which is what they're probably gonna
Generally,
start
they're
calling
either new or mighty in my head,
it. Yeah,
Or
I think
Ultimate.
or ultimate sometimes.
Yeah.
New Mighty
Well, we
Ultimate.
should talk about the Ultimates. The Ultimates, we're assuming people are familiar with the concept of the Ultimate Universe, which is basically like Marvel got to start again.
Yeah.
It was Marvel without the strings of the continuity. It's been going on long enough that it has its own continuity issues now, but
Which they're about to blow up as well.
because they're just blowing up everything.
Yeah.
It's fun. Explosions are fun.
Explosions are fun.
If Michael Bay has taught us
I
anything.
was just gonna say, just ask Michael Bay. So obviously, if you're starting a new Marvel universe, you need a new Avengers.
Yeah.
There have already been new Avengers, so we call them the Ultimates. And the Ultimates are, I think, kind of a pared down, a little bit like quintessential Avengers kind of thing.
They felt like that, very much so.
I mean, we talked about the movie borrowing a lot from that, and I think
and
because
it does.
It definitely does, because I think that was a very like stripped down, ignoring a lot of the other crap about it, and streamlined Avengers story. And particularly read like those first two sections of Ultimates and then Ultimates 2, the Millar stuff. They're very easy to grasp. You don't need to know continuity coming in.
At this point, you could read them and almost be like, so they took the concept of the movies and made it into this?
Right.
If you didn't know that those came
Yes,
first.
but they're also two distinct stories.
Yes.
They arc and end. I mean, with the continuation, and then
Yes.
And then from there, stuff starts to get a little crazy. And now Captain
Well,
America's president.
then we get into Ultimatum and all this other crap, and
it gets nuts. But just looking at those, I think that is that's what I point people to that all the time as a starting place for the Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, Millar's interpretation of Hulk isn't necessarily my favorite. Big, like, little rapey Hulk is a little like, ooh, I don't know about this, guys.
It's a Millar interpretation.
Oh, it definitely is.
But I think.
But everything else about that comic, I really
just
like.
because of it, it's just it's so easy to access.
Oh yeah,
like it's so. People, because I mean, people have asked me like, I like the movie. What should I read?
No, Ultimates I think is a great place to start out because it's especially in the like mainline continuity. It's really hard to point people to a specific point.
I don't know where. I really wouldn't know where.
I would recommend like New Avengers or Mighty Avengers is a pretty solid place to start.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like however many Marvel like resets that they've had in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Like whatever the .1 one was, or whatever the Marvel Now one was, or whatever the Heroic Age one was. I'm sure there's plenty of places they could start out, but I feel like New Avengers, especially New Avengers, like with the whole original, like the breakout storyline, is a great place to start.
No, I agree. I think New Avengers is kind of what I was thinking. If it was going to be something in the 616, New Avengers does feel like it's fairly accessible.
Yes.
What is the Marvel Now one? Do they have an Avengers?
It's just called Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was definitely some like new fresh starting, because that was when Nick Cage was leading it. Yeah, the Marvel Now one.
Was Nick Cage leading?
Not Nick Cage. Luke Cage.
Yes.
Yes, he was. Both actually.
No. Luke.
Or was that the .1?
Wait a minute. Luke Cage was leading the New Avengers, but I think that was Heroic Age.
It's so confusing at this point. I'm kind of glad they're blowing it all up.
No, it's still Cap.
Okay. Well, now it's Falcon Cap.
Yeah, but it was Cap at this point.
Okay.
It's been a while, because that's when Hickman took over in the Marvel Now stuff.
Because they're doing a brand new one coming out very soon.
Yes.
What's that one called? It's called like Never Been Seen Before Avengers. It's something.
I don't know.
It's something very.
They just
I hope it's
revealed
not
the final
called that.
lineup, though.
Yeah, something
And
very poignant like that.
It's Falcon Cap. It's Miss Marvel, the new one. It's Lady Thor. It's
What's that called though? Do you remember what that's called?
I thought it was just like the all new Avengers. I thought
the new Avengers.
new.
Yeah, it's the new Avengers.
Whether they're old, new, or new.
I can't remember.
There's an image floating around because they were slowly rolling out like who all the characters were.
Yeah. They made an actual portrait, like I was telling you. Iron Man's on there, isn't he?
I believe so, but
It's
we don't know if it's
Superior
Tony,
Iron Man.
We don't know if it's Tony Stark Iron Man.
It's Superior Iron Man.
If it's
Is that a different thing?
if it's not Tony Stark
Is
Iron
Superior
Man,
Spider-Man different than?
Yeah, but is Superior Iron Man like a different character?
I'm not exactly sure how they differ, but I've seen people specifically point out that it's one or the other.
Okay.
we'll save my issues with that probably for another day about how like no one is the character anymore. Like everyone is new now. That's all I have to say about it now.
Is this like an exhausted?
But let's turn from that to our Dream Avengers.
Ooh, Dream Avengers.
Dream
Avengers.
That's not a new Avengers team called the Dream Avengers who are dealing with
It might be soon, John.
with Inception-based crimes. No, that was no.
That would be kind of awesome. I'm not gonna
Actually,
lie.
yeah, now
it's like you get some of like the psychic-based Avengers guys, all having to do with like psychic level stuff, all dream and like astral plane crap.
And they can fight Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
Just the villain of the Dream Avengers, of course, Freddy Krueger. Dream Avengers. How do we want to do this? Do we want to roll off individual names? Do we want to just each present our?
Just each present our own. Like this is our dream team, I guess.
All right, and how many people do we say we want?
I went with 5.
I think 5 is a good.
Yeah, I have like 6 and then alternates.
Sure.
Because that's the other thing. We
If they're
didn't
ever
really,
sick.
Some
we didn't
honorable
really
mentions.
talk about that, but usually it's like, here's on the cover, here are the 5 or 6 we're going to follow. But you usually get about 5 or 6 more people that show up that are like, oh
Sure.
yeah, I got the page. Right? We still use pagers.
They have their
I
little
do.
like
We
beepers.
do. That's
Yeah,
how
they're
we.
like-
That's the all.
Like, my
only way we
table's
communicate
ready.
outside of the podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Gergoni, why don't you start with your list?
Wait, are we
okay.
doing? Sorry, I missed. Are we doing?
We are just doing the list. We just go each one of us is going to go through our our list.
This is our dream team.
Fair enough.
Just give your roster.
Let's do it.
So this is the Mike Gargoni Dream Avengers roster.
Yeah, this is my dream. Like, this is, if I was to write Avengers, this is the team I would want to put together.
All right.
Be as specific as you like.
Okay, because I'm going to get specific.
Nice.
First on the list, character we probably don't talk about enough, but it's a character that I actually do love, and that's Spider-Woman.
Yes.
Jessica Drew.
I was going to say which one.
Definitely Jessica Drew.
Okay.
I love her character.
Me too.
Especially the stuff like just post Secret Invasion was so freaking good. I love how she's constantly conflicted between the different parts of her like upbringing, basically. Just the whole Hydra angle, the whole Shield agent angle, her whole like, and now her like persona has been ruined by her face being used by the Skrull invasion. Was so cool. I think she's a very interesting character. I think she adds like a dynamic, like spy level stuff on top of her superpowers.
Definitely.
Which, for those of you who don't know, she really doesn't have much to do with Spider-Man other than kind of like the costumes look like they've got a color scheme sort of a thing going on, and she's got some wall crawling abilities.
Yeah.
But other than that, she uses like
They're not married.
no. She's got some weird pheromone powers that she can use to like mind control people to a certain extent.
No, I think the thought of her is that Spider-Man is a girl. It's no, that's not who the character is at all.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, her calling her character Spider-Woman is such a disservice to that she's in the shadow of Spider-Man. Like the character is so much more than that and so much more interesting. She's of late she's been a part of like the Secret Avengers stuff. With like the more recent, like with Coulson and Nick Fury and her and Black Widow running around. So yeah, she's one of the main parts I have of the Avengers. Then I have Captain Marvel, or
The Carol Danvers.
Carol Danvers, yeah,
Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
formerly Miss Marvel.
Sure, I mean, but in that same...
Right. I think she fills out the Cap role. Like, she's a good moral center. They showed that especially in Mighty Avengers, post Civil War. She was kind of responsible for putting together a new team of Avengers, and I feel like she's a good like paragon leader character. Then I got Hawkeye, because I love Hawkeye.
Me too, yeah.
Throwing in Hawkeye there, though, that adds to, like, I think there could be some interesting interplay between him and Spider-Woman, because I believe in their comics they're either, like, currently dating, or...
I don't think they're not currently dating, but
there's a complicated relationship there.
they have dated, yes. Hawkeye's dated everybody.
Yeah, Hawkeye's kind of a man whore. And I throw Hawkeye in there because I just love that character. Then I've got my two characters who have been a part. I believe they're part of the Mighty Avengers at one point, but they are definitely a tandem team that I want, and that's the Incredible Hercules and Amadeus Cho.
I was going to ask about if either of you guys had Amadeus Cho on
Yeah,
your...
definitely. And
I don't know
definitely do. Do you know who this character is, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Amadeus Cho.
He is like super genius. He doesn't really have a superhero name. He's just like a really smart kid who can like figure out all of the angles. He's what did they say, like the 7th smartest person in the world or something. So he's constantly like hacking stuff and figuring out, like, he's the guy who puts the mysteries together. He's not necessarily going to be out there punching people in the face, but he's figuring out exactly what everyone needs to do to shut down the bad guy.
Yeah.
And Incredible Hulk is there because he's big and lovable, and he drinks maybe more than he should, and he punches things.
Yeah.
And he's a acceptable Hulk stand-in if any given value of Hulk isn't available. And I love Hercules because he also gives us a connection to like some of the more mystical stuff with the Greek gods.
He's also a little bit less of a wild card than Hulk, I feel.
Oh, he's way less of a wild. Okay.
Depending on the Hulk, depending on what you tell Hercules about his mom.
Yeah, the whole thing between him and Hera can be a little like the whole like him murdering Mega and his whole family, like that whole thing happening, and
it was a gray area.
No, no, it wasn't. It was
coming from you, Gargoni. You don't think it was a gray area at all?
Have you read Greg Pak's run on Incredible Hercules? I'm gonna have to get you to read that. It's they go into it quite a bit, and I freaking love it.
Okay, I will do it.
Like the whole how Hercules has been manipulated by people in the past, and how that affects him as a character.
Sure. I like a good, good brainwashing.
they go into that quite a bit.
I like it.
But yeah, that's my dream team.
All right, very cool. I guess I'll do mine here.
Please.
My first one's kind of a boring answer, but he is my favorite character in the Marvel Universe, and that's Captain America.
Sure.
You got to have a leader. I like Cap for that. We kind of already talked about his involvement in the quintessential
Oh yeah.
X-Men. Number 2, Vision.
Sure.
I love the Vision. He's an awesome. You got a tech-based character. We can throw out Iron Man from the quintessential and put in Vision for me. He's a robot. He's awesome. Like
I did really like Avengers AI. That's another Avengers
yes,
title.
Avengers AI is really cool. What a great robots have feelings too.
I have always been a proponent of robot feelings, John.
Yeah. That's basically the impetus behind that book.
Do androids dream of electric sheep? You know?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, apparently. I just asked Vision. He's counting them.
Robo Lamb.
Dream of in that sense. Oh, they're hungry for it. Got it.
Wolverine. Yes.
I'm with you, John. Don't worry.
Because he's the guy I want as the muscle on the team.
Really? He's the muscle?
Yep.
He's not punching anyone over buildings. He's just killing people.
No, but he's just going to keep coming. He's just going to. I know he's going to. But I'm saying he's going to keep coming at people.
He's the Kool-Aid man with adamantium claws.
And that's not muscle. That sounds pretty muscly to me. Hawkeye, because Hawkeye's the coolest.
You know, our arguments for Hawkeye usually break down to, God, he's just so cool.
He is
so
though.
cool.
There is something. He's the coolest person on the team. Really, I mean, there's something about him. I don't know. Like he's
Raised by carnies. Is what it is.
there is that certainly.
That's the coolest thing.
I
don't know if that's the coolest thing.
Gorgoni, what's cooler than carnies?
Lots of things.
Do you like Nightwing? Do you hate Nightwing?
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Nightwing, but
Are you not carny-centric like I am? Anything with carnies sells.
everything that carnies have, they try to sell. That's the whole thing with carnies.
Yeah, and that's what I just said.
We could break this down into my distrust of carnies, but John, what's more in your
Different
team?
podcast.
the fifth one of your sort of core group of this, Stephen Strange.
Really?
Yep.
Cool.
Put on
Doctor Strange is
on
one
that
of my favorite characters in Marvel. He's your connection to the mystical.
I was going to say.
I love just how unfazed he is by these things, where he's just like, I'll conjure up a demon. Don't look at it. Let me do the talking. I'll handle this. Shut up, Mephisto. There's something.
Oh, please let Mephisto be in the Doctor Strange movie.
Oh, he has to be, doesn't he?
No, you know it's going to be Dormammu.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Can't
maybe.
they both be in there?
But
I feel like you're going to have one mystical big bad. You're not going to throw a pantheon of
the
them.
blasé way with which he deals with
By the eye of Agamotto.
Yeah, with all powerful things is just great to me. Stephen Strange is also the coolest in a different way than Hawkeye.
He's a man who can pull off a cape.
Yes. Oh, and he looks awesome. By the way, him standing next to the other characters is he just looks cool.
And he's definitely been in enough Avengers titles where I think he's earned his place.
Well, people always come running to him.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about him. We don't know what this is. Explain it, Doctor Strange.
It's like, well, give me a moment to meditate and we'll figure this out. Don't worry, kids.
Anything sciencey they can't figure out, they go to Reed Richards. Anything mystical they can't figure out, they go to Stephen Strange.
Well,
That's true.
I like the idea, too, of like teaching children how to solve problems. It's like, go to somebody who knows. Go to somebody who has magical powers.
Yeah.
Don't try to figure it out yourself.
And he's always just like meditating when they come in. And like, shh, he's meditating. He'll be with you in a second. Doctor Strange's time is valuable. Because he's dealing with things you couldn't possibly understand.
Oh, I mean, when he's meditating out into the astral plane, I mean, God knows what he's doing. Clearly, he's just like going through whatever the magical equivalent of the internet is, looking up the magical equivalent of cat pictures. They're like 10 times more adorable because they're going straight into your brain. But
Only 10?
at least 10. That's 10 magnitudes.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
Yeah. So those are my 5. And we could maybe get into honorable mentions later after.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got plenty of honorable mentions.
Yeah. Donovan, you want to do your sort of core 5?
Well, it's not 5, but yes. Do you want me to cut down my list right now to 5 just to please
how many
you guys?
are on it at the moment?
Only 19. No, I think there's 6-ish / 7-ish.
Sure. Give us your list.
So, Captain America and or Miss Marvel. They both serve the same purpose?
Wait, Carol Danvers?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
She's a captain.
Well, because
She's
we
a-
have
she-
Miss Marvel now, so it's...
Yes, I'm sorry. Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. I think if I had to pick one, I'd pick Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's more interesting. She's a little bit more heroic at her core. I feel like Cap is really good at playing the like, we're a team, let's do this. But I don't know. I just like...
She leads by example, but so does Cap.
But her power set's really awesome too.
Yeah.
I mean...
Like the whole absorbing energy thing is super awesome.
It's super cool. And she's kind of a heavy hitter.
Oh, she totally is.
So she's awesome. Wolverine made my list. Reason being, he is...
Wolverine?
He's a wild card, but not in a sense that he's going to destroy everything for everybody else. But he's going to just make sure that what he does is for him and for...
But he's got your back.
He does have your back, and then he also leaves for long periods of time, which I kind of like.
But in a
Sometimes
battle,
he has
you
to
can
go
count on
fight
him.
ninjas.
which is awesome. My recommendations are coming up. Don't worry, it's going to be great. Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man and the Avengers. I love that he turned them down multiple times before he was on the Avengers, and that he's still like, I'm going to stop burglars, and then I'm going to answer that pager, and I'm going to go stop the big bads. Like, I love that.
I'm going to go web up Galactus.
Exactly. I love... It's just like... Because, again, we've talked about how Peter Parker is such like an everyman. I love that connection. Is like, I could be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I could be an Avenger. And I love the Superior Spider-Man. There's like multiple times because it's Otto Octavius. But people are like telling us something. He's like, you can't do that. I'm Spider-Man. I'm an Avenger. Like, he always puts that in there like, my credentials are huge. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Also in there, they kind of figure out, they're like, he's acting a little funny. Maybe we need to figure out... Anyways, awesome. Not to give anything away. Hawkeye made my list.
Yep. I
He's
love that
so cool.
Hawkeye was shared by all of us.
He's so cool. And again, I said, because of Matt Fraction,
Yeah.
I feel like my
Well, that's where he was always cool, but Fraction made him really cool.
just make,
I will say, though, my Hawkeye could just as easily be the other Hawkeye. It could just as easily be
Kate Bishop?
Be Kate Bishop.
Unquestionably.
I'm not going to say that it couldn't be her for me. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I think
I could definitely.
I'm saying I could very easily just slot out.
and I'm
going
to actually say Kate Bishop just so you guys see that I like women. I include them. That comment earlier. This one might throw you guys. Moon Knight.
Huh.
I love Moon Knight.
As an Avenger, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
He
the
was an
thing.
Avenger, and I think that
I-
Briefly, before his psychosis took over.
sure. I love the character of Moon Knight.
Me too. I know.
Okay.
I love Moon Knight.
I
but
just think
imagine him on the Avengers seems crazy.
again.
to me.
I came down to the okay, and this is going to sound strange, and I know they're not really related that much, but I came down to the end of my list, and I was like, I need either Moon Knight or Daredevil. Again, I know
think
they're
both of those are so weird.
they're way different.
I almost put Daredevil on my list for kind of for the same reason you put Moon Knight, which is I love Daredevil so much, but he makes no sense on the
He's
Avengers.
so awesome, though.
But no, Daredevil.
He makes as
I
much
have
sense
such
as
love
Hawkeye
for the
makes.
character of Daredevil.
Moon
But-
Knight makes as much sense as Hawkeye makes. We just have seen Hawkeye more, so we associate him more.
No. There's a huge difference between those two characters, just in how they approach the whole heroics thing.
Sure.
Hawkeye is answering like a call. He's the one who's just like, I'm a hero because this is what I do, and Daredevil has a mission.
Yeah.
Daredevil is cleaning up his streets.
Oh, yeah.
He's not
He's
necessarily
the defender of Hell's Kitchen.
Right, he's not necessarily there for the whole, like, if he can help save the world, fine. But he's not going out of his way to be the superhero.
He's got
the coolest.
He is.
No, I'm not denying that he's super cool, but I'm just like,
That's what I'm saying. Like there was that thing where I'm like, I should talk about Daredevil because I.
And this is my dream, right?
sure.
This
No,
is my
if this is
dream.
your dream team, we're not going to encroach on your dream.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I think Moon Knight is way weirder.
The one
though.
last person, and I don't want to get any flack from you guys on this one. Also because I'm not sure that she has ever been an Avenger, but in my mind she has. So I put her on the list tentatively. You can tell me if she wasn't. Mystique. Mystique is one of the most fascinating characters in all of Marvel comics.
You're not. Gonna
She's
get
been back and forth all the time. She's got the coolest powers.
Well,
She's got some of
has
the coolest
cool
powers. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about the coolest powers.
Are you kidding me? She's got the coolest powers.
She's a shapeshifter. Those are a dime a dozen.
I love that. But the way she uses that, and she's also like an assassin and crazy awesome at martial arts.
I
and...
don't think she's ever been an Avenger.
Okay.
Has she?
I
mean, she
mean,
could be. There's no reason. Once again, in a dream scenario, of course.
Yeah, I have
So-
no idea.
She could be. I'm
Here's-
just trying to think. Has she ever? I don't-
Nothing I've read.
So she's quasi honorable mention because I'm not
Besides
sure she's ever
times
been
where
an
I'm
Avenger.
sure there have been times where the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants are fighting the Avengers and she's infiltrated.
So here's the point we're at.
Mhm.
We're not sure if she's an Avenger. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we've just made our dream list. if you're listening to this and you want to make your dream list,
Oh, please.
let us know.
Oh, yeah.
We have a few ways to reach us. You've probably heard this before, unless this is your first episode. If it's your first episode, hello. Hi.
I believe we said that at the beginning of the podcast.
But I'm just making sure that they know that we're acknowledging
We're welcoming
first-timers.
specifically new listeners.
If you've made it this far into this particular podcast and it's your first time, first off, way to go.
Congratulations.
you did it.
But you are able to find us on Twitter at Panel on Panels. Please tweet at us if you have questions or comments or want to know.
Or
We also
want to tell us your dream Avengers list.
I mostly
Exactly.
am really fascinated to read other people's dream Avengers.
yeah,
lists.
so tweet that at us and
Please.
hashtag it Dream Avengers list.
Dream Avengers list, or tweet it at us. Also, that's where we post all of our new episodes as well. So if you want to, keep track of that, we'll be in your Twitter feed. We also post our new episodes to our Facebook page, which is Panel on Panels,
Which I
on
think would be
Facebook.
a much easier way of posting your dream Avengers list because you're not
on
bound.
our Facebook.
Because you're not bound by 140 characters.
Sure, and you'll probably get
For sure.
into conversations with not only us but other people on that page.
I don't know. Those other people can be really
and if
sketchy.
you feel like
Let's find the other Moon Knight fans out there, right, Donovan?
I'm welcome them, come over for a barbecue. Please bring food.
Bring all of your
But-
other personalities.
Yeah, exactly. Multiple personalities is so cool.
It's a Moon Knight party.
And if you feel like you want to send us an Avengers list or maybe a personal story about Avengers and how they changed your life, you can email us at panelonpanels@gmail.com.
You absolutely can.
Please send things in. We'd love to hear from you. We've already heard from some of you. It's been great. Look us up. Dream Avengers.
Dream Avengers, yes. So as we wrap up our discussion about the Avengers, we turn now to our recommendation segment, which is how we end every episode. And I'll start it off with I'm going to recommend an Avengers comic.
Oh.
I'm
You're
going
so
to
good about that, John.
I know.
I feel like I only want to recommend random things, and you're so on point.
I mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to recommend Kelly Sue DeConnick's Avengers Assemble, which is it's cool. There's sort of individual story arcs that can sort of be taken by themselves.
Sure.
And they're fun. Frequently, they're a team up. She did a whole run of Tony Stark and Bruce Banner hanging out, and she called it Science Bros.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you're into
That's the thing from the internet that was kind of established during post like the Avengers movie thing. And there was a bunch of, let's be honest, there was some deviant art of Tony Stark and the Hulk hanging out, and it's just like Science Bros, woo!
Well, one of the things I love particularly about this Avengers comic is how well DeConnick writes them hanging out. Like the banter between the characters is awesome. It is a Whedon-esque dialogue, I would say. It is very snarky, very funny, makes the characters lovable and relatable. And you should check it out. It has there have been several different artists on it as well, but it's written by Kelly Sue DeConnick,
Who's great?
and I believe she's currently writing it now, co-writing it with Warren Ellis now.
Like as we speak.
Yes.
No matter when you listen to this podcast,
They are writing it together.
It could be 50
They're
years in the
sitting
future.
somewhere writing Avengers Assemble together. But yeah, check out Avengers Assemble. It's a really cool book. Gorgoni, what do you got?
You've kind of inspired me to. Well, I do have a random recommendation, like Donovan, but you've inspired me to also recommend an Avengers comic because I think I've probably talked about this on the podcast before, and I may have actually recommended it before.
Maybe.
But I'd like to recommend it again because it is apropos of Avengers.
Yes.
And that is Avengers Arena. They specifically
Hunger Games with the Avengers?
Hunger Games with young members of the
I
Avengers.
correct that, sir. Battle Royale with the Avengers.
I mean, the cover of the first trade speaks for itself.
That's why yeah.
But they also do like spoofs on the covers of like whatchamacallit, Hunger Games, and there's Lord of the Flies right there. There's it's definitely pulling from a lot of those types of books. But it's
Kill
written by
or
Dennis
die.
Hopeless, and it's drawn by Kev Walker primarily. There are other artists interspersed. But it's like a bunch of the teen characters from the Marvel universe being thrown on an island by none other than Arcade, that classic villain.
I actually really like Arcade.
No, I love me some Arcade,
But it's
especially in
true.
Avengers Arena.
Yeah.
But he's such a joke character up till this point.
He's underused, I think.
He threw the X-Men into a giant pinball machine or something.
Makes sense.
Great story, man.
But no, the Avengers Arena and its sequel series, Avengers Undercover, are like some really, really good, weird, out there Avengers stories.
Definitely probably the furthest out there of an Avengers title.
In the main, especially in the mainline Marvel stuff. It gets pretty gruesome, not going to lie. And if you've read Avengers Academy, which sort of leads into this, especially some of the
There's
characters definitely do.
also some of the Runaways are in this as well.
And some of the Runaways are in this, and
None of the Young Avengers are in it, are they?
none of the specifically Young Avengers, no.
Right.
There are some like younger members of the X-Men stuff, like X-23 is in this, and she's super cool.
X-23 is awesome.
The female clone of Wolverine. But yeah, so that book is pretty freaking sweet.
Yep. What's your other random?
My more random recommendation is IDW's Dungeons and Dragons comic book.
What is Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, it involves dice and dungeons and then some dragons.
But it's not called Dice and Dungeons and Dragons.
No,
so-
this
Why?
book is just Dungeons and Dragons. Because the dice part is usually for when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, it's a game.
Donovan, I'm getting up to here with your shenaniganery.
His hand is about at his eye level.
Yeah, and he's just turning red.
No, because both of you guys know, the listeners might not know this, but I am a huge fan of D&D.
You have dropped numerous D&D references throughout the episodes of this
No,
show.
I know, but like stating it outright is like I play in at least 2 campaigns that are running simultaneously any given week. I freaking love Dungeons and Dragons. So to find a comic book, because most of the comic books in the past have been like more based on some of the Forgotten Realms books, like or kind of like if you've watched the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon show, more of that kind of a vibe.
That's primarily how I know the Dungeons and
Yeah,
Dragons.
and it's like
And that live action movie they made.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jeremy Irons is fun in that movie, but holy crap, that movie's bad.
These are my points of reference.
And for that, I'm sorry. But Dungeons & Dragons is a lovely, imaginative, cooperative storytelling tool that is also a really fun game. And this comic book by IDW is a...
Which is now slamming around the table.
Yes, it's now slamming around to the table. But it's written by John Rogers and drawn by Andrea DeVito. It is a great comic book. There are 3 trades of it. I think it kind of stopped after that, which is sad because it was great. But it really gives you, like, the dialogue between the characters gives you a real sense of just, like, what it's like kind of having this banter between characters if you're sitting around a table. It gives you this weird sense that, like, yeah, it could be set in some kind of a game that some players are playing, but it's also telling a really compelling story. And that's why I love the Dungeons & Dragons comic from IDW.
All right. Donovan, what have you got?
So technically, this person was an Avenger. So
You don't have to defend your choice.
I'm just saying. I feel like you did it. Gorgoni did it.
I leapt on the bandwagon.
And it was
I
put
apologize.
into,
you,
like,
you saw
the-
me scramble away from the table and find a
Not
comic
like,
book from my
hey,
right.
I am like
I
this
come in
kid.
and prep this stuff.
Yes, no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just woke up today and realized we were doing a podcast, and I've never read Avengers before. That's why I'm not qualified for any of this. But
Yet you have such a stick up your ass about Ant-Man.
Oh my gosh, that's the other thing. Please tweet at us if you like multiple costume changes and names or not, and
See,
if
now you're
or
just
not do it
asking
in
for an
all
argument, Donovan.
boy.
all
You're
caps,
literally
please.
asking for an
Oh,
argument.
boy.
All-
Yeah, he's demanding one, in fact.
People need to rally behind me. I have a vision of the future. No more identity changing.
The Eilert Army.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Anyways, so mine is, I don't think I've recommended this, but if I have, it doesn't matter because it's drastically changing. But Savage Wolverine.
Yes.
So the idea is the beginning. It's written and drawn by Frank Cho in the beginning.
Who's fantastic.
Who's great. I love his art style.
yeah, he's
Loves jungles. So it's not surprising that Wolverine appears in the Savage Land. And
Great idea. I mean,
great idea.
me
Fighting
hooked.
Velociraptors, meeting up with Shayna the She-Devil.
Yep.
She's awesome. Long story short, Amadeus Cho also shows up.
Awesome. I'm in.
And
Sold.
he has an ability to speak to the native people through a translation device.
sure.
Does Hercules show up?
Hercules does not show up. And
less sold.
here's where, and so this is where I'm
And
gonna,
I'm out.
this is why I'm saying it is amazing and it changes. The idea is they have to stop a machine so they can get home, but the machine is trapping essentially what is like an ancient elder god that will
Back in?
cause
I'm back in.
cause
Suddenly you've got me.
cause destruction. The next person,
Some kind of unspeakable horror, possibly?
yes, but he's entombed until
Is it Cthon?
I'm sorry, I don't remember the
There
name.
is a Cthulhu equivalent in the Marvel Universe.
Chthon?
Yeah.
It could
Well,
be-
Mephisto is the devil.
The Mephisto is
No,
definitely
he's
Because they
not.
used to not be allowed to say Satan.
I'll bring him up, but or I'll look him up and reference him later. But essentially, next person to be phased in is the Hulk,
Nice.
who accidentally destroys the machine keeping this thing.
Of course.
End of episode 5.
Clumsy Hulk.
This elder god flies to an arch elder god and is like, I found a place for you to devour. And he's like,
that the
I
term?
can finally...
Is it Arch Elder God?
Well, technically, there are the outer gods, and then there are the elder things, and there's a whole.
That light's going on.
I just know that the one on Earth is
Well, technically,
the one who's escaped from this box is the herald for this.
oh, so he's the Nyarlathotep to the Azathoth of this scenario.
That's exactly
That did
correct.
not bring the light back, sir.
Gorgoni's language translation broke for a moment. We're going to fix that, ladies and gentlemen, repair that. Anyways, and he's like, you can devour this place. Mm-hmm. Hard cut to episode 6. None of that is happening. However, they haven't stopped it, so I don't know if it's going to come back in, but they switched writer and artist to Zeb Wells as the artist, or the writer, excuse me, and Joe Madureira as the artist.
Madureira?
There's 2 R's, I think. Madureira?
I don't think it's Madureira.
Well-
I would be very surprised if it was pronounced Madureira.
Well, I know some things.
It's a rerun from What's Happening, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. Anyways, hard cut to Trouble with the Avengers. Elektra shows up and is like, hey, come with me. You find out that the body of Bullseye has been stolen, and Wilson Fisk and
Better known as the Kingpin.
the Kingpin, thank you, and has employed now Wolverine and Elektra to get that body back. But of course, he's in the hand of the hands, or the hands of the hand, is what I meant to say.
In the grasp of the hand.
Oh.
Anyways, it is again the Elder God thing could still be happening. I don't know, but it is.
Wilson Fisk might as well be an Elder God
It is
at this
amazing,
point.
and one of my
Certainly
favorite.
got the size.
I mean, John, I could go into how like the indescribable horror of these things would drive men to madness, and how that doesn't really lead
Well,
to
you
an
say-
organized crime syndicate. But
What's amazing there is you didn't say the word technically. You like worked your way around that. And
that was on purpose.
same effect though.
You're just telling yourself over it. Don't say technically. Don't say technically.
Don't
say
start a
technically.
sentence with "well, technically."
One of my favorite bits though is there's an issue where they're fighting ninjas, of course, and Elektra is like
You
just
got Elektra, so you
just
already...
tearing through and is like great. And Wolverine has got the inner monologue and he's like, wow, she's so great. Me, I'm no good in a fight the first couple blows. And then I kind of go a little crazy. Right? So this idea that he's like at the beginning of a
Berserker
fight,
rage!
I
Berserker
suck. And then he
rage.
says like, I can hold it back, which I've done as many times as I can count on my fingers. And then just like goes berserk on these ninjas. And it was just like so awesome. And just, again, hard cut. I'm not sure. Art style drastically different. You go from like this beautifully drawn Wolverine to this like kind of jagged teeth a little bit. Looks like maybe an actual Wolverine at some points. Anyways, as far as I've read, I highly recommend it.
Are there 2 trades of this out so far? Or
I've
are
been
you
reading
doing
it
it
issue by issue.
Okay.
So again,
think
5
there's-
issues
I
with
think-
Frank Cho, and then
I think there's more than 2 trades of it out. There might be.
there's a lot.
3
There,
or
I mean,
4.
it's been going on for quite a while. But again,
This
up to where
this,
I'm
this
at,
was
I
part
highly
of the
recommend.
Marvel Now launch. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
So there's probably 3 or 4 trades. of it.
So
I'll
he
check this
is
down.
very
It's good.
savage. He starts out in the savage land, and then you find out how savage he is later on. So that's
It becomes more of a personally savage story.
yes, exactly. Randy Savage,
he shows up.
he might show up.
Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Wolverine and Randy Savage team up. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
You just sold a
That
book
or
that
Adam
does.
Savage, who's going to be a tech expert for him.
It's just a team of savages.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna get Boy Meets World star
Ben Savage?
Ben Savage, yeah,
And Wonder Year star Fred Savage.
yeah. Well,
Well, he's
and
the greatest
Princess
actor
Bride
that ever lived. He's
and,
the chameleon.
Well, on Princess Bride, what? That's a different.
Fred-
That's
also-
Fred
no, that's
Savage.
still
Yeah,
Fred Savage.
that's right.
That's
so,
Wonder Years and
so
Princess Bride,
they're
Fred
the
Savage.
brother team up. It's an interesting thing.
The Savage Bros.
Yeah, because they're
To be fair, Savage Brothers sounds like an awesome
they're
comic
bickering.
book name.
It reminds me of the Bash Bros from Mighty Ducks 2, and I love that.
We are all over the place
I'm
with
just
references
saying
on this
that
episode.
we could combine everything I love.
And just get Mighty Ducks 2.
Yeah, Wolverine on the Mighty Ducks 2.
Team Iceland doesn't stand a chance, man.
No, they don't. They're
Not
just
a chance.
They don't make it to the third
Jordan
period.
Bombay brought in his ringer. It's Wolverine.
Yeah,
He represented him once in court.
I met him as Weapon X. You can call him Wolverine.
I like the idea of him skating, but just pulling himself along the ice with his claws. Anyways, Savage Wolverine.
So it's great. So if you've enjoyed the antics of our podcast, please remember to rate and review us on iTunes. We would really appreciate that.
We would.
And but I think that's going to do it for this week on Panels. I've been your host, John Campbell.
I am currently Mike Gorgoni.
And I will always be Donovan Eilert.
Keep reading comics, everybody. And remember, #Archie is our stalwart.
#Archie is our stalwart.